Today we're going to look at the cChoco DSC module. Now this is a module that basically allows you to configure Chocolatey. So we're going to do a couple of things, one of which is I'm going to prove that it's not already installed on this machine. Secondly, I'm going to tell you that Chocolatey has been installed on this machine, and also the Chocolatey server has been installed on this machine. Now the reason for this is because we're going to configure the Chocolatey source, so that if you had a larger scale deployment and you had a single source somewhere on your network, you'd want to run that configuration module in order to allow basically any server to use that same internal resource. And if you want to avoid, getting blocked for using multiple packages. The other one here is that at the moment we're needing to do a Nuggety install, because this is the first time I've actually used PowerShell on this machine. Hopefully you're already familiar with the Nuggety process, and also we're getting this from the PS gallery. So you could theoretically download this in advance, put it in your trusted repository list, and then just download it from there, so you don't need to use the public gallery. But for those of you who are using the public gallery, that's the example. Now we're going to look at the config here. So we've got the local machine is the node, so this will run on any machine, and we've got a source here which is going to tell us that we should use the local host, and we're also saying absent to the Chocolatey public. So if we just do a quick check on sources here, what we should see is that we already have the Chocolatey default, and then we're going to replace that. So if we just do a Chocolatey source here, we'll see we have the public repository, and what we're going to do is effectively replace that with our own internal one. Now we're going to hit an error in a second. Now the reason we're hitting an error is because we're running this under the local machine account, because I haven't specified credentials for PowerShell DSC to use. And in this particular instance, I've just installed Chocolatey, but under my account. So since I haven't restarted the machine yet, it's going to throw these error messages. Not to be perturbed, we're just going to do a quick machine reset. And after the reset, what we're going to see is that Chocolatey DSC module has finished, because when it started up, it found that all of those things were already under the local service account in terms of variables available. So it's already done the run. So when we do the quick check to say, okay, we'll look at the Chocolatey sources again, what we should see is that the local host has now been configured. And lo and behold, the public one is gone and the local host is now there. Now that's all good and well, but obviously we want to use it now to install packages, although we are now installing packages from our internal repository, in this case the local host, but still the principle's the same. So if we pop over to our configuration here and we look at the package configuration, which I'm just going to take the moment to adjust the font size here, because if the default one is just a teensy bit small for everybody's reading. And what you've got here is, again, another configuration. We've got a couple of settings. Again, we're going with the node localhost, so it will apply to whatever machine we apply the config to. We've got an install location, so the install directory is specified. Then we've got a Chocolatey package for Google Chrome. We've got an absent for Flash, and we've got a array of packages. So we've got Git and 7-zip listed as two packages in one config. So we're going to go ahead and just apply that, and what you're going to see here is that all of that config is going to be applied in effectively one hit. Now there is a couple of caveats to this, one of which is that even with the local Chocolatey repository server, I'm still in these particular packages reusing the public files. So it's going out and it's downloading the Google Chrome from the Google Chrome URL. So we're not going to be super fast in this compared with if I'd redone the package and had it running directly from a local binary version of that file. So unfortunately, yes, there's going to be an extra minute or two. The other thing to cover here is, again, I'm expecting an error. Now, depending on your environment, you may or may not get this error. And the error that's going to come up is that you can actually have a limitation reached within your DSC for the size or total size cache in kilobytes. Now, I think if I remember correctly, the default is about 512 kilobytes, so basically about half meg. And in my case, the configuration is going to run a little bit over that, and by a little bit, I mean like it's going to run into closer to a meg or two. But in the meantime, whilst we're waiting for that error to pop up, you can see that we have already installed a couple of packages, and here we go. Here's our nice little error message telling me that the configuration is bigger than the allowed value. Now, for those of you who run into this, don't worry, this is an easy fix, and it can also be put into your DSC configuration at the beginning as well. So all you've got to do is we'll just quickly pop over to the IFC interface again, and we'll put in the fix example. So this, we're changing the max envelope size in kilobytes. So here I'm going to change it to 10,000 instead of the default. And then we have an output that then shows that we have our 10,000, which is all good and well. And I can just go ahead and run the configuration again. Now, obviously, this in some cases is not necessary because it will reapply and reapply until it eventually finishes anyway. But just to avoid that error, you might want to consider changing the configuration of the max envelope. And anyway, we're at the end of our package installation and the end of this video.